My mom really came alongside and she was the cheerleader. You can do anything, Robert. That mentality that I guess would make you crazy enough to run for governor. I was watching the way Janet Mills was handling COVID and saying, like, seriously, I could do better. And it just kept growing, this idea. And so finally I go to Christy and I'm like, so thinking about running for governor. If I become governor, I will cut $2 billion out of the budget in year one. Maine people, we're just getting by and we need to thrive. My struggle, in complete transparency, is gratitude. Hardly a day goes by where I don't say, we're not in charge. Having the confidence and knowing that God's in control. I 100% guarantee you, if God wants me to be governor, I will be governor.
Is there hope for Maine, or have we gone too far? Well, Robert, thank you so much for coming on the So What's the Point podcast. Very glad that you could come on set and talk with us, have a conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to it.
To get started, for the people listening to this or watching, what would be the best way to kind of describe who you are and the mission that you're currently on?
I am currently running for governor. And who am I? My name is Robert Wessels, and I am a businessman. I'm a believer. I'm a family man, and I am uh, really fed up with our state and want to see it change. And I'm the kind of person who I don't just sit around and hope somebody's going to do it. If I have the skill sets, I'm going to give it my best shot.
Can you give us a little bit of a backstory on kind of how you grew up, where you grew up, kind of that environment you were in your first, I don't know, throughout your childhood?
Yeah, I love that question because the reality is that is obviously extremely formative on who I am today. And I grew up on the middle of a farm in the Midwest. And like I say farm, the closest town, we were between two towns. One was 10 minutes away and
Yeah.
one was like 15 the other direction. And so literally nobody anywhere around. And it was amazing. I loved my life growing up. Just helping work on the farm. Ultimately, my parents, both my mom and dad, were believers and loved the Lord and loved all of us as kids. There were four of us growing up. Just supported us, both verbally, but like if we want to do something crazy or whatever, they would allow us the ability to do what we wanted to do. Several years growing up that I had uh, wanted to bike to school because I saw all these kids, all these town kids bike to school. I'm like, that's a cool idea. I wish
Yeah.
I could bike to school. Again, it's like 10 miles away. So, but once or twice a year, they would allow us to bike to school and,
Hmm.
so just things like that. Like, who would want to do that?
Right.
And so very supportive. And
Hmm.
I feel like, and they still are today. I feel like, that was a big part of my upbringing. The other really big part was I was heavily involved in our youth group. We had a wonderful youth pastor when I was in high school, junior high, high school age, and allowed me to take on a leadership role
Hmm.
in some of my closer friends, and really just learned leadership there and leading my peers. And I ended up going to Moody Bible Institute for a
Hmm.
bachelor's in education, much because of that aspect of my life and where I was. So.
Mm. I want to jump back to this because you just mentioned something really, really interesting about somebody kind of taking you under the wing and giving you opportunities to be able to grow. What were a few key players in your childhood growing up, becoming a teen? Um, they really played a huge impact in who you are today.
Both my mom and dad
Mm.
are the obvious first choice
Yeah.
in different ways. My dad is a quiet man. Don't mess with him, but he's a quiet man. But my mom really is not quiet. She came
Okay.
alongside and she was the cheerleader
Mm.
who, you can do anything, Robert, and helped and gave that courage and that mentality that I guess would make you crazy enough to run for governor.
Sure.
Just that mentality of, well, why not? Right?
Mm.
My mom told me I could. Uh, kind of idea.
Yeah.
So they would be my first two options, obvious choices. But my youth pastor that I talked about
Mm.
would be another one because it wasn't just me. There were a few of us that he he believed in, and he gave us the reign. He gave us the power to make mistakes and to try
Mm.
things and influence things and kind of and so we'd put together youth group events, and we would talk through like what is the purpose and why are we doing this,
Sure.
and should we be doing this a different way, and just kind of all those behind the scenes leadership pieces that I wouldn't necessarily have had any other way,
Mm.
and dramatically influence who I am today.
Mm. You mentioned, you biked to school a few times, 10 miles. It's not necessarily all that close. Were you big into sports growing up?
Yeah, I always looked at myself as athletic.
Sure.
You may not know that to look at me now, but I grew up playing soccer. I
Mm.
don't know if you knew this, but I was going to be a professional soccer player. It it didn't happen. Sorry. No free tickets for you or anything. But for years I would tell people that was my plan.
Mm.
And so kind of goes with that sky's the limit
Mhm.
mentality that I had. But no, I absolutely loved soccer. I played from the time I was 4 all the way through college,
Mm.
and absolutely loved it. Loved the teamwork, the camaraderie,
Yeah.
and loved when we won. We
Right.
had one season that our varsity soccer team outscored our football team. Um,
That's
it was it
insane.
was it was an amazing year. It was
Wow.
really fun. Again, I'm not taking credit for that. That year I sat mostly on the bench
Okay.
and warmed the bench very well, but it was fun being on that team. It was fun winning. But
Huh.
I was involved in running
Yep.
to a degree.
Sure.
Track and field, did some different events when I was young, but then gave that up
Mm.
probably um, junior high or something like that, and until I became an adult. I picked it back up.
This question always, um, comes to me, especially with people who have played sports for a long time. There's a lot that you can learn with being on a team, going through something difficult, and then being able to either come out on top or not do so well, but then able to learn from that for the next time. What are a couple things that you have been able to pull away from that experience, um, that have really helped you, especially in the last few years?
Let me answer that question in two different
Sure.
ways. One is going back to soccer and the teams and coaching soccer in my adult years. The teamwork aspect, and you could have somebody who's really amazing, and yes, they influence how the team does.
Mm.
But if you have only one person who's amazing,
Mhm.
um, you know, the team's not going to do well.
Mm.
But if you have a whole bunch of decently mediocre people who click and work together as a team, you can win a championship. And
Right.
so, and as a coach, again, especially looking at that and saying, how can we pull those skills together, right?
Mm.
I may not be the best candidate. I may not have the most experienced campaign manager, but if we're all working together and if we're pulling in volunteers, we can do amazing things. And again, that goes to what that looks like as governor and everything like that. On the other side, kind of where you were going with this,
Yeah.
the better example I would have would be, I don't know how many years ago, probably 12 years ago, something like that, maybe 10. I was sitting at the finish line while my wife finished a 5K. I was drinking my Mountain Dew and cheering her on, and I looked at her. I'm like, why can't I run? Like
Right.
I used to be athletic. Afterwards, I look at her. I go, hey, do you want to run a half marathon with me? And she's like, "Sure." I'm like, "Oh, I guess we should start running."
Yeah.
And so we ran a half marathon that fall, and then since then I've done multiple marathons and
Mm.
things like that. Kind of where I'm going with this is that determination and discipline to run a marathon was
Mm.
mind-blowing
Yeah.
and life-changing because believe it or not, your body wants to give up probably somewhere around mile 20, and you still have
Hmm.
6 miles to go. And you have to push through, and you have to, during the entire training part, you're running 4 hours at a time,
Mm-hmm.
at times, and your mind will play games. Running marathons is about 80% mental,
Mm-hmm.
not physical. And you have to figure out, how do I overcome these mental blocks, these mental hurdles that my mind is throwing in the way. It really just requires intense determination, and so does life,
Mm.
right? Like, if your job is rough, right? Like, you have to overcome that.
Yeah.
If your marriage is rough, you have to work through that. You have to figure that out. Finances, if your finances are rough, like, you have to have that determination and that ability to say, okay, I'm going to make it through this. And how am I going to do that? And um,
Mm.
that was a wonderful example to me, and really learned a ton. And it changed in a small way. It changed the direction of my life. So.
I gotta ask you this. So you've been married. How long have you been married for?
We got married in 2001, so in June it will be 25 years.
Hey, you're doing pretty good with remembering this.
Yeah,
So we
I
had
know.
we
Thank you for the
we
heads up. I've got 3 months to remember this.
we had someone on a little bit ago, couldn't remember when they got married. Anyways, when did you meet Christy, by the way? Christy's
Yes,
your wife.
Christy is my amazing wife, and I met her in college at Moody Bible Institute
Okay,
in Chicago. Funny story, I won't go too much into it,
sure.
but I was in a couple classes with her in one particular semester, and she was sitting in front of me, and I was like, oh, she's kind of cute. All right. She didn't have a clue who I was, until I finally, in one of those classes, I got up the courage. I told her, I'm like, hey, I like your sweater.
Hmm.
And she's like, who are you? And the
Oh,
rest is
man.
history. There
Okay.
was a whole lot of chasing going on, but I finally got her
Hmm.
and convinced her to, yeah, to marry me.
What made you, um, go to Moody Bible College?
And I was planning to be a youth pastor.
Okay.
And so I got a bachelor's in education with a
Mm,
emphasis in, with being a youth pastor, youth ministry. And I actually did it for about a year
hmm,
after we got married, um, and then decided, oh, maybe this isn't what I want to do.
hmm.
And that's when we moved to Maine
Okay.
and started our life here. And um, I helped with youth group for several years, and loved it, and still passionate about our youth. Again, the youth group for me growing up was life changing,
Mm,
and formative to who I am. And so I've been involved where I can and how I can, with this youth group. But
mm. I want to get back to this, but first, that transition from Illinois to Maine. What was the ultimate decision of moving to Maine? Because I've talked to a lot of people who say they move out of Maine, they're never coming back. What was going on at that time period that made you move?
family,
Okay.
absolutely family. So Christy grew up here, and we
Okay.
came back to be with her family. And at that age, she had two younger brothers who she barely knew,
Mm,
because one of them was born while she was in college. And
mm,
so, um, she had mentioned that she would really love to get to know her brothers
mm.
and be here. And I said, why not? Let's go. So we packed it up and moved.
Wow.
So that was, again, very early into our marriage, shortly after college, and family makes you do crazy things.
Professionally, moving from being a youth pastor, what did you do after moving away from that?
Again, we moved to Maine basically
Mm,
as soon as I got done. That was the deciding factor, and we moved to
okay.
Maine. Uh, we both, that's the kind of the crazy part. So we had been saving. We've always had very natural common sense as far as money, and we had a decent savings account built up. And we just moved to Maine and had no job prospects.
Mm,
And my father-in-law and sister-in-law picked out our apartment. So we got here and already had an apartment lined up that we'd never seen. They did
okay.
a good job.
Okay.
And so, but Christy shortly after that got a very low-paying job at a local Christian school because she was a certified teacher,
Mhm.
and we were living on her meager paycheck.
Mm,
I dipped my feet into selling health and life insurance.
okay.
I've always been this finance guy.
Sure.
You know, it's always been this dream of mine to get into investments and
Mm,
things like that.
mm,
And so I dabbled a little bit in the health and life insurance, and I got certified
mhm.
for that. And then shortly after going through the testing and passing and
Sure.
all of that, um, so that's a commission base, and
Mhm.
you're not technically an employee, at least in my scenario.
Right.
And so there were no benefits, and we found out we were pregnant with Joshua, our firstborn. And I'm
Mm.
like, oh, I sell health insurance, but I don't have any. And I hear these little guys are expensive. So that's when I decided to go and get a job working overnights, stocking shelves at Walmart,
Mhm.
just strictly for the health insurance. I was there long enough and got the health insurance about 1 month before he was born. So I'm
Wow.
like, yes,
Yeah.
it worked. And meantime, when I got my first Walmart paycheck, we had $50 in the savings account.
Oof.
So like it was getting, that savings that we brought to Maine with us, it
Mm.
was getting pretty meager by that time. And um, so it's kind of, that's, I look and say that was a refresh button that we hit. And so, and then again, I had no intention of staying there, but I fell in
Yeah.
love with retail
Okay.
and decided, hey, I think this is fun. We should give it a try for a while.
Mm.
I guess 20 years is, a while,
Yeah,
a little
that
bit
is.
more. So I stayed at Walmart for 7 years,
Mhm.
climbed through management. At the point when I left, I was running a store unofficially while there was no store manager
Hmm.
there. And then I transferred over to US Cellular
Yeah.
as a store manager, ran a couple stores. For the first few years, it was both the North Conway store and the
Right.
South Paris store. And it was fun. That was an interesting challenge, just
Mm.
running stores while you're not physically there. It's a
Mm.
different type of leadership skill that is critical, and it was
Mm.
fun to experience that and have that learn that in life.
Mm. What did you learn from that? Having to manage two different places and obviously not being able to be at both at the same time. What skills were you able to learn through that?
When you're a store manager, right? When you're in that building all of the time,
Right.
you can fall back on your own leadership skills a lot more often, and a lot easier.
Mm.
And so you just go out and you have those conversations and you make sure things are happening and you follow up. You
Mm.
can't do that when you're only there 2 days a week, right? And
Right.
so I had a sales manager in each location. So
Mhm.
I had to pour into my people when I was there and figure out how to effectively communicate with each of them and find out how they're doing, what that looks like,
Yeah.
ask the questions that you would normally just look at with your eyes, and to be able to lead through them and help them while you're not physically there. Just
Mm.
a very different skill set that I was glad to learn.
Mm. I'm seeing a lot of interesting tie-ins to your past experiences with running for governor and being qualified to be
Yeah,
in that position,
yeah.
right? But I do have to ask you, what is the reason for running for governor and why now?
Ultimately, I think all of us, or at least the majority of us, had a wake up call during COVID.
Mm.
And so I was getting my master's degree during COVID.
Mm.
And the entire time I was doing that, I was watching the way Janet Mills was handling COVID and
Mhm.
saying, like, seriously, I could do better. Like, not in a cocky way, but
Right.
just looking at it and going, how is this happening?
Mm.
That to me was really, I was a selectman in the town of Paris for 4 years. I was the chair of the select board for a year,
Mm.
and really enjoyed that. And have always had political leanings.
Sure.
I would have never told you, hey, I'm going to be governor someday. But I've always had political leanings and been interested in it. And so then as
Mm.
I'm sitting there doing my master's degree and watching this unfold, um, and at that point, Paul LePage went against Janet Mills, and
Right.
no, I was not convinced I could beat Paul LePage. And so I was like, all right, well he'll take over, and then he didn't.
Mm.
And that was kind of for me the moment where when she won again,
Mhm.
and I was like, we have 4 more years of this after
Right.
the first four.
Sure.
So I already had all of that built up in my head.
Mm.
And then in the fall of 2022, our
Mhm.
local school district tried to pass a policy that would allow them to transition your children sexually without telling you as parents.
Hmm.
And so they could do all of that. And if they felt like it was not in the child's best interest, that they're making a judgment call with that,
Hmm.
they could not tell you as a parent. And
Hmm.
hundreds of us as parents, Christy and I included, stood up and said, absolutely not. Not
Right.
on my watch. This is not going to happen. The parents need to play the most important role in our
Hmm.
kids' lives. And so that was kind of the pivotal moment for me. Christy actually ended up on the school board
Okay.
through all of that,
Yeah.
and she's still sitting there today.
Mm.
And I looked at her and said, You've got the school board under control, right?
Mhm.
Um, eh, eh, I'm gonna go, and the problem's in Augusta. Yeah,
Mm.
and so it was kind of fun. So this was going through my head for months, and 3 or 4 months, and finally, and I'd been praying about it and
Mm.
thinking about it, and it just kept growing, this idea. And so finally I go to Christy. I'm like, so thinking about running for governor. And I thought that was the end of the campaign, right?
Yeah.
Like I thought like she would just laugh and say, absolutely not. She's more of a quiet person
Mm.
and, does not love the spotlight.
Mm.
And she looks at me and she goes, okay. I was like, really? And so we obviously, after that, but that was the crux of that conversation. But
Mm.
after that, we've obviously spent a lot of time talking about it, praying about it together, and figuring out, is this really the best direction for our family and the direction we should be going? And is this what the Lord has for us? Because I
Mm.
really felt like the Lord was saying, go do this. And so that being said, I looked at it and said, as I was making this decision and feeling this leading, I looked at it and said, I looked at my life events going from Illinois, growing up on a farm, going from Illinois,
Yeah.
having a godly upbringing and an amazing supportive family, and then the leadership skills that I've learned over the last 20 years. The master's degree was just the paper. I
Sure.
truly felt like I had that degree through the School of Hard Knocks
Mhm.
and leadership, the years in retail. And I said, I'm an organized individual. I plan. I have the leadership skills that I've learned and
Mm.
grown. And I love the finances and the economics piece of things, which is critical and missing in our government right now. And
Mm.
I'm purpose driven. And I just look at all of my way of living life and say, that's what we need in a governor.
Mm.
Um, what I didn't have and is like any knowledge or experience and know-how in getting there, right? Like
Sure.
I was like, I'm confident if I got there, I'd do really well.
Yeah.
How do you go from store manager, businessman, and to
Right.
that successfully? Um,
Yeah.
a lot of prayer.
Mm. But you set out that, like, this is where we're going, and then I've gotta create the steps along the way to get there. It's super cool. There was a few moments in the past few years that have driven you to where you are today, running in this race for governor. But was there one specific moment in the past 3 years that really stood out and is like, "Man, we need radical change in the state?"
One, no, there's probably 100 in the
Okay.
last 3 years. One great example of that, though, moment where you're just tearing your hair out, and I don't have much to tear out. The Democrats have been in charge,
Mhm.
the House, the Senate, and governor, attorney general, secretary of state, all
Holy
of them,
cow. I actually didn't know that.
like all the way through for the last 7 years.
Okay.
And so there's no accountability.
Hmm.
There's no,
Right.
it's one party rule.
Mm.
Quite literally, it's one party rule. And so they have had enough numbers that they don't really even care
Hmm.
what the Republicans say. They're going to do whatever they want, no matter what.
Mm.
And so that would not be healthy if it was Republicans either, right?
Sure.
Like it'd be fun from my part of it, right? But
Right.
but the reality is, I wouldn't long for one party rule for a very
Mm.
extended period of time
Yeah.
from any one party because you're not getting the other side of the conversation.
Mm.
Um, and a couple examples of that is the budgeting process
Sure.
in Basically, it's designed to be a conversation. It's designed for them to come up with a budget that a large majority, I don't remember what percent, can agree on.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do agree on that, they pass that, and then they move on with the rest of their legislative session.
Hmm.
But because the Democrats have had no desire to play well with Republicans and
Sure.
depend on them to get, because they don't have 66% on their own, and they don't intend on bringing any Republicans along.
Mm.
What they have done several times now in the last 7 years is they have passed a regular budget with just a majority,
Okay.
which you can only do at the end of a session.
Hmm.
And so they have passed it with only a majority, ended the session
Okay.
before they've done any of their work. And then Janet Mills has called them back for an emergency session to do all their normal stuff.
Well, that
So
seems weird.
it's basically, I question whether it's even legal.
Sure.
However, in the very least, it's not how the system was designed,
Right.
and it's finding legal loopholes. Again,
Mm-hmm.
I question the legality of it anyway, but they've done it now 3 times,
Mm.
and it's just to cram through their agenda and
Hmm.
get things the way they want. And
Mm.
so they are single-handedly in charge of boosting our budget, our state budget, from $7.4 billion
Mm.
to what will probably end up being $12 billion before
Holy
the next
cow.
governor takes over. And so it's just absolutely huge, the amount of money that they're spending. So that's one aspect of it.
Sure.
The other, I think, that is really obvious. There was a bill a couple years ago. As soon as Janet, it was, I guess, 4 years ago,
Mm.
she in her campaign said she's not going to change abortion laws. Almost immediately after she got into office, she pushed an extreme abortion bill that allows mothers to get an abortion up until the day the baby's born.
Hmm.
It is one of the most, if not the most extreme in the nation. She pushed it.
Cool.
Thousands of us, as everyday Mainers, went to Augusta and spoke. Literally, I showed up. I took the day off work to go and speak,
Mm-hmm.
and I showed up. I don't remember what time. It was probably 11 or 12
Sure.
in the morning, and then like 11 in the morning or noon,
Right.
and I ended up not speaking in person because I stayed until 10,
Holy
and
cow.
I got there late enough, and there were so many people ahead of me. They didn't call my name until 6:30 a.m. the next morning. And
Holy
so like
cow.
literally people and all night long, all night people are speaking
That's
against it.
crazy.
The other thing they did was they gave the first opportunity for people to speak, all the people who were for it,
Sure. Of course.
and
Of course.
they
Right.
got the full 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then after all of those, fresh eyes and people who have only been there for a couple hours or
Mm.
whatever spoke, because there were not many of them.
Mm.
I don't want to give numbers because I don't know, but it was
Right.
only a couple, 2, 3 hours of them speaking, 3 minutes each. Um, then the rest of us got to speak, all the people who were against it. And so if you desired and had the ability to stay all night and pull an all-nighter at the state capitol, you could speak. And
Mm.
by the end, it was 1 minute. And so you didn't even get your full 3 minutes. They kept lowering it throughout the night because they had so many. What did they do with our feedback? Nothing. They passed the bill anyway.
Hmm.
There were a couple legislators who were on the Democratic side who were going to vote against it. One who did,
Mm.
and they got primaried. They primaried them. Their
Hmm.
party said, "You're out. You
Wow.
didn't toe the line." To me, that is indicative of what we're up against in our
Mm-hmm.
state.
Yeah.
They don't care what you as a regular everyday Mainer think, or what your opinion is. They'll do
Hmm.
what they want to do,
Mm.
and that's not okay for our government to do that.
Mm. I want to break down a few things that you had said. The regular budget.
Mhm.
What does that entail for a regular budget for a state?
Your state roads
Sure. Okay.
are, um, part of the budgeting process. I think the single biggest thing is Department of Health and Human Services,
Okay.
and so that's your main care, your health care,
Okay.
um, you're taking care of people, unemployment,
Sure.
all of that. That's a huge chunk of that budget.
Mm.
Then you have the education system, you have the state police
Right.
system,
Okay.
you have, uh, I mean, could go in, yeah, go into a lot of detail, but
Sure.
at a very high level, any of the services that our state offers
Mhm.
to you and I or to uh, anybody in the state
Mm.
is in that money.
Okay.
So
And so in that budget, you were saying 7.4 billion or roughly
that's
7.4
where it
billion
started.
was where it started, and
That's
what
where Paul LePage left it.
that's where he left it. So that was 7,
That was going on 8 years ago.
8
Yeah.
years going on 8 years ago, and you're saying that we're encroaching 12?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the revenue that the state makes? What are we at for state revenue per year?
So let's put it this way. Unlike your personal budget and mine,
Right.
right? We do it the opposite. We sit there and say, oh, how much revenue do we have?
Correct.
Okay, that's my budget,
Right.
right? The state does it the opposite, and they say, what do we want to spend? Okay, this is how much money we have to take from the people. You have to keep in mind the state does not get any money that it doesn't take from you and I
Right.
or businesses, things like that.
Mhm.
Tolls, different
Sure.
things that right go into it, but ultimately it's
Right.
all the people, right? The state doesn't have its own source of income.
Right.
And so they budget differently and they say, what do we want to spend?
Mhm.
We need to take that much money. And so
Hmm.
the revenue matches what they want to spend
Sure.
because, oh, look, I mean, generally speaking, that's true. Every once in a while, they might project a shortfall because, again, they're budgeting for 2 years and they're saying, how much money do we think we're going to need
Right.
or want? And you know, and then they budget accordingly,
Mm.
and they budget to a how much they expect they're going to get based on logic and number crunching.
For most of the money that the state gets, is that gonna be per year? Is that usually through people coming in the state, like tourism, or are they taking vast majority from the people who live in the state?
I would say my general answer to that would be the vast majority from the people who live in the state.
In the state.
You definitely get some from sales tax.
Sure.
Let's say people come in vacation in the state of Maine. They're getting a hotel. We get money from that. They're buying gas. We get money from that. They're buying food. We get money from that. They're
Mm.
buying goods while they're here. We
Right.
get money from that. So, sales tax and tolls and things like that come from outside the state. Um, but a lot of it is income tax. Your property tax really goes to your local. It stays local,
Okay,
and
stays
so
low.
the
Yep.
state budget doesn't include that. Although the state budget does have money that goes towards that.
Okay.
So, for example, I don't have to pay property tax on my first 25,000 of the value of my home. The
Sure.
state covers that part for me. A portion of the budget goes towards that. It's called the homestead exemption,
Okay.
and so it's just one way to help make property taxes a little more affordable
Sure.
for people by spending it with the state money instead of their own money. Yeah, it's still their money, but
Yeah.
thank you so much for helping, with your income tax. You're helping pay part of my property tax with the homestead exemption.
Hmm.
But it's a small portion.
Hmm.
So at this point, and property taxes are killing people.
Yeah.
So I've been teaching Dave Ramsey and budgeting, personal finance, and stuff like that for about 18 years, probably in the church and in the
Mhm.
community. And I'm one of those crazy numbers guys. If you
Yeah.
just give me a budget and tell me a problem, that's a good Friday night, right? Like, let's go, let's look at this and figure this out. And so I love the budgeting aspect of it. If I become governor, I will cut $2 billion out of the budget in year one. That budget has to be presented if I'm elected in November.
Mhm.
It's January. And so immediately starting after November, crunching numbers and working on a
Mm.
budget and getting it and cutting $2 billion out of that budget.
Mm.
Again, $2 billion is a lot of money.
It is.
But the reality is it's gone up by 4.4 billion,
Yeah.
or even more. And so, I'm still adding $2.4 billion to Paula Page's budget. We can do this.
Hmm.
And we need to for Maine people, because Maine people aren't. We're just getting by.
Mm.
and financially, and we need to thrive. Once that budget passes, that will go back to people in the form of taxes, that revenue we don't have to take. Again, we're saying, hey, we don't need as much, so
Right.
therefore we don't need as much revenue, and so we can lower taxes.
Mm.
And so we can get that back to the people by lower taxes. And then from there, day one, I'm going to create a Department of Government Efficiency that is going to absolutely go after fraud, seek out the fraud,
Mm.
and we'll have a team who's able to prosecute that
Mhm.
and eliminate that fraud. But then they're also going to go after regulations that are killing Maine businesses and
Mhm.
hurting people. For example, I don't know if you knew this. Again, there's thousands of these terrible regulations, but one of them is if you, Dr. Justin,
Okay.
wanted to start up some sort of healthcare business.
Okay. Sure.
It could be chiropractor, I'll let you choose, but
Okay.
you're going to start up some sort of healthcare business.
Let's say it's dentistry.
Dentistry. All right.
Perfect.
Dentist Justin.
Yep.
Perfect. You want to start up a
Okay.
dentistry in the area. You actually have to go to the state government and get
Okay.
their permission.
Hmm.
Why?
Why? That's a good
Right? Like,
question.
uh, if you wanted to start up a pizza shop, you wouldn't need the government's permission.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just a stupid law, but you have to go and get their permission to start up anything, your dentistry. And by the way, it gets even worse.
Oh, no.
They then go out to the community and you have to get what's called a certificate of need. So they go out to the
Okay.
community. By the way, the other dentists in the community are
Oh,
part of the
my word.
community, and
There's a
so
problem.
there's already a couple dentists in Oxford Hills,
Yeah.
right,
That's
in
true.
Norway and
That's
South
true.
Paris,
There
and
is.
they're gonna go, nope, nope, we're doing fine. There's no need for another dentist, and
Yeah.
they're gonna come back to Justin and go, I'm sorry, there's no need in your community for this. Well, we're effectively creating monopolies in the
Yeah.
healthcare industry, right? Like,
That's a good point.
yeah, no, nope, we don't need that, right? Like, it's absurd. Why? Why do we have regulations like this? So anyway, I will have a team who will actively look for
Mm.
stupid regulations that are costing us business and adding to the cost for
Mm.
individuals and squelching our economy.
Mm. So for the permissions, like other than going to the state and saying, "Hey, I want to do whatever in health and build this," are they reviewing anything, or is just simply going to the people and then asking, "Is this needed?"
I don't know exactly all of so
Sure.
there's another part, right? Piece to opening a business in Maine, and so this is just specifically the part that's called the certificate of need.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, after opening business ourselves,
Mm.
and as well as I had a conversation with a lady at the Blue Hill Fair last summer. Aside from her main job, she just started a beef jerky business.
Mm.
Her jerky was delicious, by the way. I will say.
What is it
She's
called?
done.
Do you know what it's called?
I don't
Oh
remember.
man.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Um, I could look it up and tell
Sure.
you, but
Okay. We can put it in the description of this video.
there you
It's
go.
just, if you can
Perfect.
find it, send it to us.
She started this jerky business, and she said it was it was work to start the jerky business
Mm.
and to get the permission to do retail, which is what
Mm.
she was doing at the fair. But after 2 years, she still had not been able to do wholesale, and so she couldn't
Hmm.
put some jerky in your dentistry shop, right?
Sure.
Or any place that sells food retail, because the state, every time she would go, they would say, "Oh, you need to do this,"
Okay.
and she would do this, and then
And
somebody
then they
else would
would.
say, "Oh, well, you didn't do this,
Mm.
or you didn't need to do that. You needed it." And again, when I talked to her this summer, she still had not successfully done it. So, starting a business in Maine in this day and age with our websites and computers and technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is absurdly difficult. You want to start a jerky business, you should be able to go on the state website, click on retail, food, whatever category
Mm-hmm.
jerky might be under, and see a list of everything you need, what needs to happen, and a
Mm.
link to be able to either fill out that form online or find and communicate with the person in the state that you need to communicate with. Like, this process should be super quick. We're talking days,
Mm.
to be able to make this happen. And here she is years later.
Is our government system outdated?
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Huh.
And not
It's
just the computer system, right? Like,
yeah,
again, our
yeah.
processes and like they're just inefficient. And so we have to fix all that.
Do you have a plan as to how you can update? Maybe you've thought of maybe a few specific cases of how you're going to update that system. I don't know how you exactly go about doing that.
So my plan at this point would be, again, I'm going to have this Department of Government Efficiency,
Right.
and I'm going to be hiring people. I don't plan it to be career politicians on this.
Right.
I plan for it to be constitutionally minded,
Mhm.
probably business minded people
Mhm.
who are used to working with things efficiently
Mhm.
and looking at processes and saying, "Oh, well, this is great." Like when I look at these, I'm like, "This is crazy. Why
Hmm.
would we do this?" And if we get a governor in there who is a political elite or a long time politician,
Yeah.
they're going to tweak things. They're going to say, "Oh, well, yeah, I understand this is the way we've always done it," and they might be okay with that.
Mm. Okay.
Whereas I will bring that fresh perspective that
Mhm.
goes, "Why? Why
Why
are
are
we
we
doing
doing?
this?"
Mm.
Well, we've always done it. I don't care, right? Like, why are we doing this?
Mm.
If it has a good reason and there's a logical conclusion, then okay.
Right.
But if not, what can we do better?
Mm.
Our people need it. Using technology and using all of this and creating efficiencies, we won't need to hire as many state workers.
Mhm.
And so we can replace that cost
Mhm.
with some of the technology and save the people of Maine some money.
This all interests me because I'm trying to grow a business here in Maine.
Yeah,
It's more I have to deal with government stuff with like federal level. So
yeah.
honestly, it's a little bit easier. But $4.4 billion increase over the last.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Do you know why or where this is going?
A huge chunk of that is going to DHHS,
Okay, what is this?
Department of Health and Human
Okay.
Services. That is your main care, taking care of people.
Hmm.
Um, on day one, when Janet Mills got into office, she expanded that
Okay.
to cover a lot more people.
Hmm.
Not this year's State of the State address, but last year's, she actually was pretty much bragging about how many people we have on main care.
Is that helping or hurting the state?
Well, yeah, exactly. Like this is not, it should not be the goal and purpose of the government
Mm,
to take care of as many people as we can, right? We have about 400,000 people on main care. That's about a third of our population.
that's a lot.
New Hampshire, which has a very similar population, has
Hmm.
180,000. So we are more than
Mm,
double the number of people. And I would look at Janet and say, well, if you ran the state right,
yeah.
right, like there'd be ample opportunities for these people to have a
Right.
livable wage and they would not have to be dependent on the state. And so we need to run the state in a way that people aren't dependent on us. We
Mm,
shouldn't be needing our government financially to be able to survive because, quite honestly, that kind of life is not what any of us want. Like,
right.
it's not a life of extravagance. The other piece to it, I went on a ride along with the main wire the other day,
Okay.
and it was wonderful, like eye opening, and it was great to see firsthand.
Mm,
But they're digging into what I can guarantee you at some point will come out as fraud.
mm,
Again, I had no proof of fraud in my particular one day with them. We didn't, but I did see mismanagement
mm,
considerably. And so, our first stop, we went and we were attempting to chat with a client that his caretaker, his guardian, had said, "Hey, I'd love it for you to chat with my brother."
mhm,
We were unable to chat with the brother
hmm,
because they
okay.
were really guarded and wouldn't allow us in. It came out after the fact. They acted like they asked him, but they hadn't.
Hmm,
Long story short, the care that the brother was receiving from this nonprofit, who is being paid very well from the state of Maine from DHHS,
okay.
um, was horrible, like subpar and unacceptable
Hmm,
care. One of the individuals we spoke to could barely speak English. And I
Mhm.
don't say that as a racist thing. It's a fact. We walk up to the door. We're like, hello. He's like, yes. We're like, do you speak English? Yes. Like, okay. Well, and then we went into our thing. He's like, and he sticks his finger up and is like, wait a minute. And he goes, he didn't say wait a minute. He said he just
Okay.
walked away and
Sure.
grabbed somebody else who then talked to us. I don't call saying yes, you know, being able to communicate in English, right? And so he came across as he didn't speak any English. Well, what if the client that he's taking care of needs medicine,
Mhm.
right? You kind of have to be able to read the medicine bottle to
Mm.
know.
Mhm.
What if the client that he's taking care of has an issue and is trying to tell him about his issue and like he needs to be able to adequately take care of them, and you have to be able to speak their language to do so.
Mhm.
So that being said, we're misspending that money. We're not getting what we should be getting for spending that money,
Right.
but through DHHS. But I wholeheartedly believe that there are millions, if not billions, of dollars being spent through DHHS fraudulently as well.
Mhm.
We're paying for services that we're actually not receiving. We went to four home health care facilities, offices, during the middle of the day, during the work week, and nobody was there. The doors were locked. Who knows? There could be some freak incident that would explain that, but
Right.
probably not. Not if you're a legit
Right.
actual business performing a service. You're going to be there so you can be there for the clients. And
Mhm.
so we did not see fraud
Right.
firsthand, but I saw enough that as governor, I would say we have to look into this.
Right.
We have to dig deep and
Mhm.
see if everything's on the up and up.
Mm.
Great. But in the very least, we have companies who are performing services that don't meet my standards.
Mm.
So I believe a lot of that increase that we're seeing in
Right.
the DHHS budget um, is probably coming from this.
Hmm. Is this any way tied to what, Nick Shirley uncovered
It's basically the same
the
thing.
daycare fraud thing
Yeah,
over
it's
in
basically the same thing. Um, I I wouldn't be surprised if we have the daycare fraud thing as
Hmm.
well. It's the same idea. Um, so yes.
Is there an immediate way to be able to figure this out, especially with, um, being able to talk to the people who own those actual properties, and be able to put a stamp down as this is fraud or this isn't fraud?
Yeah, there's definitely a way to do it. First off, you have to have the desire to do it, right? And
Mm.
that's a step we're getting stuck on right now in the state of Maine. Um, our governor
Mhm.
and our attorney general have no desire to catch these people. They have no desire to stop it. We had what was called the Gateway Community Services
Okay.
recently that the Maine Wire did report on, and the state, after 2 years of continuing to pay Gateway services, even after it had been brought up, the state finally stopped payment.
Hmm.
That's all they did. They didn't prosecute. They didn't hold anybody accountable,
Hmm.
and those people who owned Gateway Community Services are able to just go and start another business.
Hmm.
So again, you have to have the desire to be able to stop this,
Right.
and that's the part that we're. Other than that, if you bring in law enforcement and you actually start an actual investigation,
Yeah.
um, if they don't cooperate with law enforcement,
Right.
then that's against the law, right?
Mhm. It's true. Yeah.
And so, uh, yes, we absolutely can. We need to want to do that, and then we need to officially launch an investigation. Um, and eventually, I think we need to get nonprofits out of this business.
Mm.
There's no reason not to. We don't need nonprofits doing it. We can do it as a government, and we can then hold our people accountable and watch this process much
Mm.
more clearly and easily. Right now, and I need to get confirmation from DHHS with this, but my understanding is there's
Right.
an agreement with these nonprofits that they will never do any surprise inspections.
That's kind of
You're the one in charge,
yeah.
right? And so,
It's a weird little
hey, you know what?
policy.
I'm gonna come in 3 days, and we're gonna come and we're gonna look through your place. Oh, look, it looks great, right? Like, no, no, like As a store manager, there'd be surprise inspections.
Mhm.
Like any normal business,
Yeah,
you
right.
don't know when your people are going to come and say, "Oh, hey, I just stopped by. I was in the area," right?
Mhm.
And so again, our processes are designed to create fraud.
Mm.
Um, I, whether that's intentional or unintentional, we have to fix those processes to make it so it's not easy to commit fraud.
Mm. Speaking of podcasts, you were on a podcast recently. I believe it was the Robinson podcast.
Yeah.
What was a topic that you guys weren't able to cover in that time that you would have loved to cover on that podcast? Is there anything that was stood out that you didn't have the time to cover?
Oh, I don't remember. That was
How long ago was
that
that?
was before Christmas,
Okay.
which is a lifetime ago.
It does seem that way.
uh, again, I don't know that it's fair to answer your question this way because there was no failure on Steve's part,
Sure. Well, yeah, just
but something that I would have loved to cover with him had it happened, because it happened in January,
okay.
was our process of getting on the ballot.
Mm,
And so, again, my conversation with him was before that.
mm.
I had plans, but I wasn't going to talk about them
Right, right.
because I didn't want to tell all of the other 9 candidates what my plans were
Mm,
and how they should do it.
mm,
I thought my plans were pretty good
mhm,
and would work. My goal was to be the first on the ballot,
mm.
and so we had put a lot of thought and plans into that. And
And you broke a record doing that.
we did, and so unofficially, all I can say is we looked through AI, we looked through
Right.
the Googler, and we looked to see when's the earliest anybody has ever done this, and February 1st was the earliest that we could find,
Hmm,
and we finished and were officially on the ballot January 29th,
that's
and
amazing.
so it was.
Record
It
speed.
was it was fun. The team was amazing.
Mm,
We were exhausted by the end of it, but it was eye opening going through that process and doing it. But
mm,
I will also say there's only been one other candidate, a Democrat, who is officially on the ballot, and here
mm.
we are. We're almost a month later,
Yeah, it's
and no other Republican and only one Democrat
mm,
uh, are on the ballot, and
mm.
so
Yeah.
it's kind of like, yeah,
Let's go.
it was
Yeah,
fun.
that's
It was fun.
awesome. Breaking records.
But again, I go back to we had that desire and
Mm,
we created the plan and we communicated that we were organized, we were
mhm,
efficient, and we executed that.
mm.
Yeah, there were hiccups all along the way, right? Like
Of course.
cars breaking down or
Sure.
whatever, like snow days where the
Mhm,
town offices were closed. But yeah, there were hiccups all along the way, and you just figure out how do we go around this roadblock and how do we make this happen.
mm,
The other part that is really mind blowing, really, is all of our volunteers were exactly that. They're volunteers. Many of the candidates are paying people to go out and get
mm.
signatures, like $5 or $6 a signature in some cases.
Holy cow.
I'm like, I'll do it.
I'll
Like,
go do
all right,
it.
right. They're paying people, good money to go out and gather those signatures.
Yeah,
So allegedly they would be more motivated, right?
yeah.
But my volunteers who just say, you know what,
Mhm,
we want you on the ballot,
mhm,
were more motivated and made it
mm,
happen. We had all of our signatures, most of our signatures. We were over the 2,000 required
mm.
um, by January 16th.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So
How long do you have if you're running to get all those signatures in to run on to get on the ballot?
I used to just laugh about it when in January. So we could start January 1st.
Right.
And so we were out there January 1st. I don't know if you remember, it was snowy and windy and cold, but we were gathering our first signatures on January 1st. But January 1st, I was like, people are like, oh, how long do you have? I'm like, March 15th. Like, as it, like, it's so far away. Well, guess what? Like, we're like 3 weeks away, and all of these other candidates have not
Mhm.
turned them in yet, and I'm like, you guys better hurry up, well, or don't,
Yeah,
I'm like, all
exactly.
right. uh, I like to say if there was an election today, I would win.
That's true.
I'm the only one on the ballot so far.
There you go.
uh,
That's good.
so there was again still a candidate was at the Lewiston election yesterday,
Mm,
special election,
okay.
gathering signatures.
Hmm.
I'm like, all right.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Mindset. I keep seeing this throughout our conversation. How important is it, especially for what you're doing, to be in the right headspace, um, go out and just gather the signatures, get them in record time, and to keep moving forward, creating plans, getting over speed bumps. Um, yeah, what is that mindset? How important is it?
it's critical, and I'm gonna take one piece you said,
Hmm.
especially for from what I'm doing. The reality is it's for everything, right?
Mm,
Like take your
right.
business. You're
Hmm.
starting a business. Take just working retail, right? I started out stocking shelves on overnights. Most people who start out stocking shelves on overnights don't end up running for governor.
Mm,
And so, but there's a direct correlation and a process to that because I had the mindset of being the best person stocking shelves. Like literally, they called me the snack man, and I ended up doing 4 aisles. And then also, I started running half the store on overnights and giving direction to all my peers on, hey, go do this next, go do this next.
mhm,
I literally was just a shelf stocker. Do it for the glory of God, whatever you're doing.
mm,
If that's stocking shelves, then do it for the glory of God. And the only way you can do that is by paying attention to the details and striving to do it your best
mm,
and having that mindset and the ability to say, you know what, this happened. How am I going to work through this?
right.
Okay, right? Like, no's not an option.
Mm,
I need to do this. What does that look like now?
mm,
Clearly, the path has changed. We need to figure this out. And so, whether it's stocking shelves on overnights or whether it's running a store, uh, working retail and dealing with angry customers,
mm,
right? Like, by the way, there are a couple out there, you know, and so every step of the way,
mm,
this is a critical function. And the quicker that I learned that,
mm,
and the more that people learn that and make that part of their mentality on a daily basis, the uh, the more important it is and the better they're going to and quicker they're going to see the benefit to that. I will also say that I am certainly not perfect with this, and my struggle, in complete transparency, is gratitude.
mm,
And so um, I like to think I keep getting better and better at this, but
sure.
that's my personal struggle as far as mindset and attitude goes because you know I can get frustrated by those roadblocks just as easily
Mm,
and not be thankful for the situation that I'm in. And the
mm,
reality is that God is in control. He's in charge,
mm,
and if that car broke down and there's something going on, my knee jerk reaction isn't to go, yes, thank you, Lord, right? Like, and yet James talks about that, being joyful
mm,
in our trials, and I am working on that part of it and getting better
mm,
as time goes, and maybe by the time I leave this earth, I'll be full of gratitude. um, but it's the tiny decisions, not even daily, but like just the,
mm,
the tiny decisions, the decisions of attitude, the decisions of purpose, and keeping that in mind your entire life that really directs your actual steps, right?
mm,
Like, yes, the big decision, do I run for governor? That's a big decision, right? Like, that changes the direction of your life.
mm,
But it's the thousands and thousands of day in, day out decisions to do your job the very best of your ability and
mhm,
to form these relationships and uh, pour into these people your entire life for your 20 plus year career
mm,
that gets you to that stage where you can actually meaningfully say, do I want to run for governor?
mm,
And, you know, and to me, that's where it's at.
mm. So faith has played a fairly large role in your life and your outlook. How important is it to be a part of a church that helps you grow your faith and creates a positive outlook to the rest of your life?
Critical, absolutely critical. And yes, faith has. I came to a believing knowledge of Jesus, and
Mm,
he became my savior when I was very young. And we talked about what that looked like in junior high and high school,
mm,
and going to Moody and stuff like that. But it continues to play a critical role
mm,
in my life, both personally and professionally. And just like my youth group days really, again, I credit my youth group days to me deciding to go to Moody and
mm.
meeting Christy there.
Yep.
And that playing a pivotal role. The same thing with the church. If I was not plugged into and active um, in church
Mm,
um, frequently, I would be acting different. I would
mm,
have a different purpose in life, and I wouldn't be as people centered. I'd be much more Robert centered, and it helps ground me. It I love the fact that, and you can ask. My son Davey is helping with the campaign. He's been amazing
mm,
and been active the entire time. And my campaign manager, who's also a volunteer, by
mm,
the way, Will, and both of those young men are very strong believers. And like hardly a day goes by where I don't say, "We're not in charge,"
mm,
And to be able to be involved in something so huge and life changing, and knowing that, having the confidence and knowing that God's in control. uh,
mm,
I 100% guarantee you, if God wants me to be governor,
mhm,
I will be governor.
mm,
Right? We saw that time and time again throughout the Bible.
mm,
We've seen that time and time again throughout history. If He wants me to be governor, I will be governor. I am
mm.
100% confident in that. Now, I don't know that He wants me to be governor. He may just have me in this adventure to have my life changed and have my perspective changed and do something else.
Mm,
But I am convinced that He has me running for governor.
mm,
I felt that direction. Um, and I am convinced that if He wants me in there, I'll do it. And so I can go through, and again, I've never run for governor. I've never run for state office, and it's very different than running for selectman. You can just knock on a whole bunch of doors when running for selectman, and have conversations with a couple thousand people, and generally it will work. Um, I don't know what I'm doing,
mm.
and so we go to him all the time in prayer, and try to figure this out. I think back when Joshua was attacking Jericho, right? And
Yep.
he's sitting there and he's just looking over the city, and then the leader of the Lord's army comes up, like, with this huge sword, and tells him exactly how to attack and how to do it. And I'm like, why can't I have that? Right? Like, why can't you just come over and say, okay, Robert, step one, do this. I'm
Right.
like, I'll follow the directions,
Yeah.
Lord. Nope, nope. It's been trial by error, and it's been figuring things out.
Mm,
And it's been leaning on Him and depending on Him. So
mm.
uh, it's been fun. It's been amazing, really, and again, life changing. But if hot off the press, an official poll came out from University of New Hampshire
Okay.
yesterday,
All right.
and I have 4% of the vote at this point,
Okay.
which it sounds pretty low, right? But there's 10 people in the
Yeah.
race, right? And so your numbers are going to be skewed lower. Put it this way, I'm number 5.
Hmm.
And if I just gain another 4%, and I come in at 8%, I'll be at number 3.
Hmm.
I'll
Okay.
be in the top 3, and that's kind of cool.
Hmm.
This coming from a campaign, so I am absolutely terrible at fundraising.
Okay.
All right, so if you're watching this and have a lot of money, come talk to me. I am absolutely terrible at fundraising. I've tried 100 different ways,
Sure.
and I've struggled with that tremendously. The reason for going down the fundraising path
Yeah.
is, um, I'm not the lowest, but I am one of the lowest for fundraising.
Hmm.
I have only spent 24,000 so far,
Hmm.
and the person just ahead of me in the poll was Jonathan Bush
Oh,
from the Bush family.
hmm. Okay.
He's cousins with George,
Oh, wow.
and he has spent 700,000.
Uh, okay, that's a large
Yeah,
difference.
he has a different, a means of fundraising than I do,
Yeah.
right? So he has
Mhm.
spent 700,000 and he's 1% ahead of me.
Hmm.
So I like to go, okay, like, I'm not doing bad with my 24,000, right?
Yeah.
We just continue going down the path and depending on the Lord. And,
Hmm.
if my fundraising is him, whittling, the army down to 300, right, and judges, then okay, I'm in, right?
Sure.
Like, um, I'll go in with an army of 300 and let's see
Hmm.
how this goes, right?
Hmm.
So, I want to get to the end of it and I
Yeah.
want to know that I've done everything I can do. And I want to get to the end of it and I want people to go, yeah, that was not Robert who did that. That was God,
Hmm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
let's give him the glory. Let's give him, all of that. I
Hmm.
don't need it. It's not about me. It never has been.
Hmm. I also think with being so much lower in your spending for the campaign is just a testament that you would very much so be able to fix some of the problems with our budget in the state with way more funds uh,
Yeah, don't you
coming
want a
in
governor who
that
can get a lot more done with
with
a lot
way
less?
less.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I will not run the state on 24,000. I'll just tell you that right now. Right?
Yeah, add a few zeros. Yes,
But yes, like
but
that's
it
what it's going to
is.
take, right?
Mm,
Is we need to get somebody into office who can run the state on less,
mm,
who doesn't look and say, "Oh, I just need more money." That's the answer. Well,
mm,
no, we need to change what we're doing. We need to
mm,
look at it from a different perspective, um, and
mm.
we have a long way to go from there.
It's 4 years from now. Okay.
And I'm governor,
You've been governor for four
Governor
years.
Wessels.
Governor Wessels
All
for
right.
4 years. What has changed for the everyday Mainer?
It's a great question. In complete transparency, right, that also depends dramatically
Hmm.
on whether there is a Republican House and a Republican Senate. Okay.
Okay.
Again, keep in mind right now, part of the reason we have gone downhill so fast is because there's Democrats in every single part of our government,
Hmm.
and so they are mostly like-minded
Right.
and willing to pass and work on and go through and run with whatever terrible thought they have. Uh,
Okay.
I am slightly biased. And it's not a party thing for
Sure.
me, right? Like I'm happy to go with a good idea coming from somebody. I don't need the ownership or I don't need, the credit for it.
Mm.
But truly, like the vast majority of their ideas have been bad in the last 7 years. And taking by bad, I mean taking away freedoms, taking away
Mm.
rights for people,
Yeah.
and implementing things that are not God honoring. Ultimately, I believe that we really, really could have a Republican House. I think it would be harder to get a Republican Senate.
Hmm.
Um, if I were to have both a Republican House and a Republican Senate, and myself being governor, we would be able to get a ton done, right? We would be able to lower the budget dramatically,
Mm.
decrease income tax, help with property taxes.
Hmm.
I would love to see us get rid of. I hate property taxes. I know you don't own your own home yet, but
Yep.
at someday, like
Yep.
you will appreciate this. Like you should, the government shouldn't be able to take your house if it's paid for. Do you
Mm.
really own your own home if
Mm.
because you didn't give the government, their thousands of dollars, they can take that from you?
Mm.
So I would like to see us get rid of property taxes because home ownership is critical.
Mm.
It's really important, at least on your primary residence, right? If you want to go and buy a bunch of apartments and rent those out, then that's
Right.
not as top priority for me. Uh, we should also be able to continue to cut enough that we can start lowering income tax. I would love to get rid of income tax. I don't know how realistic it is to
Sure.
get rid of property tax and income tax.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of taxing consumables. So
Okay.
you get to, you know, if you decide to buy a boat, you're deciding to pay extra taxes on that. But
Hmm.
you get to decide whether you pay those taxes or not, right?
Sure.
By not buying the boat. All of that. You can by deciding to participate, you're deciding to go ahead and pay those taxes. And so it is a conscious decision as opposed to income.
Mm.
By deciding to go to work, you're paying taxes.
Mm.
Well, you kind of need to go to work.
Yeah.
You should go to work,
Mm.
but our taxation system really dramatically needs to change. It's
Yes.
not business or family friendly. The other piece is education.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
really have to attack education because we
Mhm.
are failing our kids. Back in the 90s, we were at the top of the nation as far as education goes, and
Really?
now we're in the bottom, anywhere from 45 to 50,
Hmm.
ranked in the nation.
Wow.
And so we are literally the near the bottom of the barrel
Hmm.
in education. This is 2024 stat. It's the most recent one, but 74% of our fourth graders that were tested were not proficient at reading beyond a basic level,
Hmm.
and 67% were not proficient in math beyond a basic level.
Hmm.
So here you are, fourth grade, like you need to know your math, your basics, beyond basics of math and reading to be successful in junior high, in high school.
Mhm.
So we are setting them up for failure
Mm.
even at that young age, because we're focused on all the wrong things. We're focused on DEI. We're focused on critical race theory. We're focused on social emotional learning, and so that needs to be changed. We
Mm.
need to get back to the fundamentals, and quite honestly, we need our public schools are a monopoly of sorts right now,
Mm.
and we need to get back to we need to allow the parents to be able to choose. Um, where they send their kids for education. And
Mm.
that will insert a fair amount of competition in our education system. And if you know anything about business, competition is hard for the person doing it. It's uncomfortable, but the consumers win.
Right.
And in this case, we put some competition in there and make those public schools compete for students.
Mm.
The students and the parents will win.
Mm.
Therefore, Maine will win.
Mm. Is there hope for Maine, or have we gone too far?
There's hope for Maine.
All right.
I'm optimistic. I will say that a lot weighs on 2026.
Mm.
If we continue with the majority that we have for the next 8 years,
Mhm.
I'm a born optimist, and
Yep.
I'm not a dramatic person, but I truly believe that if we don't make some major changes in our government in 2026, we will get to that point where we are beyond the point of no return.
Hmm.
The people who are often benefiting from these bad decisions
Right.
will eventually outnumber, pretty soon, will outnumber
Hmm.
the people who are paying for the bad decisions.
Hmm.
What will happen then? Let's play that out a little
Sure.
bit,
Yeah.
right? Won't spend too much time on it, but what will happen then is if the people who are paying for the bad decisions are outnumbered by the bad decision,
Mm.
the people making it,
Right.
oftentimes, like the people with money have money because they've been really smart with their money,
Mhm.
right? They're going to leave,
Yeah.
right? Like
I agree.
they're like, you know what? They're going to take their ball and they're going to go home.
Mhm.
They're going to take their money and they're going to go to Florida, to Tennessee, to Texas, to
Mhm.
these states that are doing really well, and their money will be safe there,
Right.
right? The next governor has to keep in mind that Maine is in competition with every other state.
Mm.
People are mobile.
Mhm.
They can and often will move
Mm.
if they need to. They don't want to, but they can. And I was talking to a senior manager at a healthcare facility,
Yep.
had a wonderful conversation. At the end of it, I said, "You're governor. Like, what are you going to do?" He's like, hiring. He goes, "When I go to hire specialists or some doctors, often I'm looking outside the state. And these people come to me and they say, I'm looking at your healthcare, I'm looking at your education, and I'm looking at your property taxes, I'm looking at your energy costs.
Mm.
No thanks. I'm
Yeah.
not coming to Maine." Right? Like, I can get the same job, make at least as much someplace else,
Mhm.
and take a much bigger chunk of my paycheck home. No
Right.
thanks. So we're losing people already, and people are leaving already.
Mm.
And if they lose that hope that things are going to change, if they think it's going to be this way for the next 8 years,
Mm.
the people
Yeah.
with the money that are footing the government's bill right now are going to leave. What will happen then?
Mm.
That revenue we were talking about,
Yep.
they're going to have to increase your percent of taxes because
Mhm.
the number of people that they're taking it from is smaller. It's just going to be a spiral downward.
Mm.
So I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic.
Right.
And we need the people of Maine to step up, take action, and not be apathetic.
Anywhere that you can be found, any social media sites, website, anywhere so that people
I'm
can reach out.
everywhere,
You're
Justin.
everywhere.
Everywhere. If you go to voterobertwessels.com,
Yep.
that is my website, and you can learn more about my my view on the issues. You can volunteer. You can donate.
There you go.
Uh,
What's the donate?
y-
How do you donate?
oh, it's right there, smack dab on the first page. You see some buttons, and volunteer is one of them, and donate is one of them.
Okay.
And you can do that. You can donate online, or you can send a check in the mail or whatever,
Okay.
depending on how you want to do it. VoteRobertWessels.com. Wessels is W-E-S as in Sam, S as in Sam, E-L, S as in Sam.
Got it.
And then I'm on Facebook.
I know I saw some of your stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, a little bit. Have not been as faithful with YouTube.
Okay.
But yes, we are on YouTube. Also haven't been as faithful, but we are on TikTok and
Okay.
trying that. This whole technology thing and videos. I mean, come on. I have learned a ton, but you know what?
Right.
It's I'm glad to have a team who
Yep.
pushes,
Yep.
pokes, prods, and forces me sometimes to do those. But we're also on Instagram
Okay.
and really big on X.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
we're pushing 4,000 followers
Let's
on
go.
X, and it's a great community there that absolutely loves it and is ready to go.
Let's go. Robert, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
It's so
been
what's the
enjoyable.
podcast. Yes.
Appreciate it.
We'll link everything that he just mentioned in the description, so you go click on it and see what he's doing over there. Please like, comment, subscribe. That little, well, it's not red. It used to be red. Now it's black button. Go ahead and hit that for me. And the notification bell so you never miss an episode, and we will see you next time.